Let's go. There it is. All right. We're getting right into it today. There's no waiting. It is a special Nudelberg Daily Huddle. It's a national holiday today. It is 420. And for those of you who don't know what that means, you must be living under a rock because already on the radio this morning, I heard it nonstop. People talking about 420. High five. Are you high? High everywhere.
Hi, baby. Hi.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. First of all, big shout out to spending the time to develop strategy, look at the future. You know, it worked, man. That was
great.
That was a fun. I thought maybe the best meeting we've had. You know,
yeah.
you're in a position where your brain is receiving stuff differently. I don't see anybody coming in yet. So, do we have an issue, Shay?
No, don't worry about it. It'll come in when it'll click. It'll click when it clicks, but we're all good. I agree with you though. I think yesterday, and it's been amazing to the same thing happened to me when I was in the football world. You start to see the game differently. You start to develop your own strategy. You've got your own ideas, and then when you have quality mentors, which we talked about, we both put a post out about it. But I got the chance to spend time not only with you yesterday, one-on-one, with Joe Mullings one-on-one. And then we had a group session last night with a good friend of ours, Andy Hill. And when you just are around those kinds of minds all the time, it's really, really a blessing. So it's great stuff. And I appreciate not only you guys, but the time we get to spend together.
I totally enjoyed delivering the message in a way that was, relevant. Your ability to receive it was so different in the year. You were right, taking notes, and I'm detaching more from being in it and letting you decide. It was a different emotion. It was different. It was really
great.
I enjoyed it because I was giving you perspective, not advice, and that's great. The coaching you want to get is perspective and have you come to the decision, not me give you the decision. And that goes for everybody we're dealing with. So, pretty cool shit. Good morning, Chris Pollock in the house. There's a man who drops great stuff out there. Jennifer Olson. Good morning from Southwest Michigan. It's probably snowing there as well.
No, thank you. I have no interest in that. Good morning to everyone. And I think a great way to welcome everybody in this morning is to wake your ass up with some music. So let's get some wake up music and then let's get going.
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up. Come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in there. No more back to thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Come on.
Fantastic start to the morning. And we got some great content today. We're going to talk about 420. We're going to talk about what that means. We're going to talk about routines and habits, which are so important to our success. But where do you want to start that?
So I think the word of the day, since we're doing words and stuff like that, is ear.
So for those of you who don't know, and shout out to Brett Kaiser for being in here. I love seeing the young guys start making their way into the huddle every day, developing their own routines of being here. But for those of you who are completely unaware, today is 420. 420 is a nationally celebrated holiday within the cannabis culture. This goes back to even when I was in high school, I think, definitely when I was in college. But there's a lot of urban myths about where 420 comes from, what it represents. I know that when, I was celebrating it in college, and I'm not afraid to say that because I'm an open book, there was all kinds of rumors about it being like a police code, or that it was like a cite of Bob Dylan's song, Rainy Day Women, because 12 and 35 multiplied equals 420. but there is a story behind it. And I think the most credible story goes to Marin County in California in 1971. There were 5 students at San Rafael High School that would meet at the campus at 420, and they would partake in the festivities of smoking weed. And they chose that time because most of the extracurricular activities were done by then Steve Capper, Dave Reddix, Jeffrey Knoll, Larry Schwartz, and Mark Gravich became the Waldos because they would meet at this wall at 420 to get high in the afternoon. So that is your history lesson on where 420 comes from. And whether this is a hot button for you about marijuana or not, I know you're very open. You always were open with sharing with me how you partook, what you did, and how you got to a place where it was no longer something that you wanted to do.
I think it's astounding how many people do partake now. I have no particular interest in doing it because it doesn't affect me the way I want it to, but I believe people should have the right to do it, and I think one of the anomalies we're going to talk about today is, legalize it, don't legalize it, whatever. Some people are selling it, some people are in jail because of it.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
But regardless of any of that, there is some unbelievable humor that has been portrayed around being high and smoking weed in the movie industry. So to celebrate 420, we're going to play a little bit of a montage.
Yeah, it's reloading. Give it a second.
So we can talk about some great characters.
Well, I think, in my era, Cheech and Chong were,
sure,
infamous about, smoking dope. I mean, they brought it to the forefront. They were the first ones really out there. They were hilarious. Even can you imagine this? The comedy was on albums,
That's right.
It was just, you could hear them talk. And Tommy Chong, who is now, has a major cannabis business, those guys just lived the culture. There was so much about the culture. I remember, my parents coming home one time and saying, "Hey, you guys want some ice cream?" And I was like, "Yeah, what kind of ice cream?" "Oh, we got a new flavor, Heavenly Hash." Bam. You gotta be kidding. So, so like Todd Hudson says, Up in Smoke was legendary. And even in my time, there was, like watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Spicoli and his character of being this dopehead surfer. So let's watch some iconic movie scenes that celebrate 420, and then we'll talk a little bit about the cannabis industry.
Okay, Private Miller. You've been smoking item 9 for 7 minutes and 13 seconds. We're going to ask you several questions. How do you feel?
Well, sir, I feel like a slice of butter melting on top of a big old pile of flapjacks. Yeah.
Okay, Private Miller. When you think of your superiors, what emotions do you feel? Okay, Private Miller.
Is this normal?
Okay, Private Miller. Okay, Private Miller. Private Miller. Answer the question.
Hey, what's that smell?
What smell? What do you... Come on.
Fella. Hey, smell it. Hey, smell it. Okay. All right. Good boy. He likes it. Man. He loves it, man. Of course he loves it. Yeah, your paws are tingling, aren't they? Now you're one of us. Hey. Get it, killer. He likes it, yo. Yeah, man, he really likes it. Look at him, man. Good for you, man.
Man, what did you guys do to him, yo?
Nothing, man.
Yo, killer, kill. Killer, kill, yo.
This weed is fantastic.
You want to know why I pulled you over? Littering.
Officer, that's not ours.
Candy bars.
Littering and? Littering and? Littering and?
Littering and, littering and,
Littering and? Littering and smoking the reefer. Now to teach you boys a lesson, Officer Rabbit and I are gonna stand here while you three smoke the whole bag.
Please, no.
Please, yes. Mother of God.
Hijo de la chingada. Is that a joint, man? That goddamn looks like a quarter pounder, man. Led Zeppelin.
Hey, be careful with that shit, man.
Is it heavy stuff, man? Will it blow me away?
Better put your seatbelt on, man. I'll tell you that much.
I've been smoking since I was born, man. I could smoke anything, man. You know, like I smoked that Michoacan, man, Acapulco Gold, man. I even smoked that tight stick, you know?
Tight stick?
Yeah, you know, that stuff is tied to a stick, you know?
Tight stick.
Yeah, that didn't even do nothing to me, man. I could probably smoke this whole joint, man, and still walk away, man. Wouldn't be no problem at all, man.
So, first of all, some really funny content. But a good morning and a shout out to Heidi. Heidi, it's the first time. And Heidi, for you to jump in for your first time
in the middle of
man, it's like, this is not what it's like every day. I swear. It's like, holy shit, what is going on here? Shay, what's going on?
That's really, really great. That's really fun.
What the hell's going on out here?
We actually talk about real content. Welcome, Heidi. Thank you for joining us.
And Heidi, we will get to some. We'll talk about habits and routines after this. But I find it interesting because if you've never been high, or you've never smoked weed, or you've never kind of been in that mental state, I wonder if it's difficult for people to enjoy the humor in that because. Like Heidi, what kind of huddle is this? Although we could have that kind of huddle.
Way too funny.
Whatever side of the fence you're on, whether you're able to enjoy that humor or not, the cannabis industry is one that is absolutely exploding in the United States. And to give you any kind of idea on what legalizing it has done,
you could say it's on fire.
It's smoking. But to give you an idea on some of the numbers that go behind that, just in California alone, the cannabis market accounted for $5.6 billion in revenue. So what that means for small businesses, for state taxes, it's an industry that is continuing to really, really explode. And when you look at what some of the projections are, it's projected to reach 22 billion by 2022. So it's just going to continue to grow. More states are legalizing it, decriminalizing it, trying to get people away from being imprisoned for it, and trying to make it more of a thing that the government is able to tax and make money on.
So we're fortunate as a company, as a group, we invested in a company based in Fort Collins that basically some scientists, I mean, it's scientific, came up with a formula that helps you get a better yield out of your marijuana growth called Growcentia. And Scott Garber, who's here this morning, he knows I was up there visiting, when he was in Denver. So there is real business happening. There's real marketing happening. Today, a lot of the major brands have jumped into the mix and sort of taken advantage of, Jimmy John's is doing a live stream for French bread baking, which for those of us who have partaken at one time,
fresh baked French bread.
I get it. That the only, hot Krispy Kreme donuts are like unbelievable. Slim Jims is doing something for dogs, dog inspired. So Snoop, who Michelle, so aptly threw out there, Snoop is part of a company called Weed Maps, which is actually delivering marijuana, which is it's insane. So,
what's really insane is that you talk about those brands and those people getting behind the cannabis market, and Jeremy Mish talks about it. There are still very strict guidelines on doing paid ads on social media that involve cannabis because of the mixture of states of who's legal, who's not, what can you do, what can't you do. So it's mind blowing to me that we live in a time where everything happens on social media, yet somehow you still can't buy an ad for a cannabis company.
But 65% of the people are smoking it. So it's wink, wink, but I think the number one play of all, and certainly our friend John Sally, has a wonderful brand, but the number one play for me, as it always has been, is Ben and Jerry's, because they munchy flavored shit, and so
of course,
they've been doing it for years, talking about, that when you do partake, munchies are a real deal. So it's fun to see all the celebrities who are getting involved, to your point,
So as promised, a great piece of content for you to talk about today. Share your thoughts, share your feelings on it, what your organization does with it. But great to talk about 420 today because it is top of mind. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. So if you were to partake, you would fail a drug test, right?
1,000%.
Isn't a drug test for marijuana the most ridiculous thing ever? I mean,
and
be like doing a drug test for drinking.
The NBA got away from that. The NFL is getting away from it. I think the NCAA is going to have to at some point because you just can't. If it's legal in the state, like if I go to UC, if I'm a football player at University of Colorado and it's legal in my state for me to smoke weed, yet you're telling me that I can't because I'm on this football team. So that's a conversation for leaders and organizations as well. If drug testing is a part of your hiring process, how do you navigate those waters and whether or not you allow people to do what they want in their free time?
We're going to be hiring, that's one of the things we talked about. We're expanding the On the Ball group. We've got a couple of things that we're going to do. Would it matter to you if that person smoked pot?
If it doesn't affect your productivity, I could care less what you do on your free time, how you spend your recreational time. I don't care. I don't care. If you're able to produce and you're a contributing member to the culture and to the environment of a company, I don't care what else you do. That's my opinion of it. And that's the way I looked at it in coaching as well.
I didn't grow up in Prohibition, but, the whole idea that at one point alcohol was outlawed, yet everybody was drinking it, making it in the bathtub and putting it in watermelons and shit, so we're at that same kind of now, you can talk about, does it hurt productivity? Should you be smoking it during the day? It does.
There's a whole lot. Yeah, I think there's definitely an effect to it that we could go on for forever. But let's get to some motivational morning music, and then let's start talking about routines, because I do think that smoking weed will affect your habits and your routines.
I gotta stay high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, ooh, spend my days locked in a haze, trying to forget you, babe. I fall back down. Gotta stay high all my life to forget I'm missing you. Ooh.
So I got to tell you, but it's a great song. But if you were high and listening to that song, that would be a complete mind mix up for me, because that is not the feeling I would think as you're talking about being high and in that mindset.
Well, welcome, Jeff Klugerman. Nice to see you jump in the mix, my friend. It's been too long. But this topic does bring up so many memories, now, I mean, when I went to visit Grosentia, flew into Denver and then up to Fort Collins, I went to my first place to buy it, and you can actually get a bud tender who walks you through all the different kinds you can buy. It's fascinating, how many levels of that business. I'm not sure you're going to get to habits, but is it a good habit or a bad habit to smoke pot?
We're way over on time. Like we could spend 10 minutes talking about habits. So
and we'll go to overtime.
So here's what I know about marijuana, and for leaders who are, responsible for their hiring process, or for people who are unsure, there are very, very high performers that consistently smoke weed every single day. Athletes, business people, it's a part of their culture. It's a part of who they are. It doesn't affect their productivity. That doesn't mean that it's a blanket for everybody. I know lots of kids that I coach that could not get a hold of understanding how, when to smoke in order to still be productive and be successful. And it cost them opportunities. They were kicked off of teams. They never reached the potential of who they could be as athletes because of the drug. So can it get in the way? Absolutely. But to say that it gets in the way for everybody and that it should be outlawed, or that you can't do it and still be really successful, I have lots of cases that I could prove you wrong.
And I think coming out of the pandemic, I think a lot more people are going to feel the pressure to legalize it, because it's a tax. People pay taxes on that money, and that tax revenue base, especially like in New York, which lost a lot of people to moving, it's going to be, pretty amazing. And I think Jeff hit it on the head. Once you see banking laws, banks could not bank, companies that were involved in marijuana, that's going to change. The whole landscape changes. And again, there's so much change happening. We talked about change yesterday. We'll look 5 years from now, this is going to be a blip.
And Les Gusky hits it on the head. If you go home and you have a glass of wine, or you have a cocktail, or you have a couple beers, how is that any different than going home? And in today's world, you could eat a cookie, you could eat a gummy, you could smoke it from an oil, you could smoke it from a leaf, you could have it in a pipe, you could have it in paper.
Whoa. You sound very educated about this subject, my man.
You know what? Because as everybody should be, you should be educated about it, whether or not you take part in it, because education is the key to understanding.
Gotta love that. For 420, I think we had a great fun.
You know what?
Tomorrow's word is discipline, but I will do habits and discipline as I wanted to do yesterday. So we will get it done on a Wisdom Wednesday. Joe?
Apologies.
Heidi, you got to come back. You got to come back tomorrow.
Yeah, you know what? That's the way we're going to rope you back in, Heidi, is that tomorrow we're going to talk all about discipline and routines. And my apologies for not getting to habits and routines today, but it will be a phenomenal show tomorrow. And today really is all about 420. It's what everybody is talking about all across social media, all across your media channels. So partake in the conversation. Now, let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this.